I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? 40-year-old boy podcast. Mike Schmidt here, paralyzed with fear that he has nothing to talk about. Sitting here staring at the wall going, all right, what am I going to do here? What could I possibly talk about this week? I haven't even listened to last week's show, folks. So why don't I just repeat all the last week's show? But then I don't know what I said. I didn't listen to it. I was in Vegas all week last week. I had it. It was sitting on the computer. It was lurking. It was staring right at me. And yet I didn't listen to it. Not a smart man. But that's my fault. But then again, maybe some of you folks haven't even listened to last week's show. And from the volume of email I received, I'm going to assume that's a lot of you. Although I was in Vegas last week, and some people who listened to the show came out to the show. That was kind of fun. Young Eric was there, and also Jason and his girlfriend Betty. And I was really surprised he brought a woman from the 70s to the show. That was interesting. I didn't know anybody was named Betty anymore. I mean, it was just, and she was like a young girl with like tattoos. So then I was like, well, maybe it's like a hipster thing. But I mean, her parents didn't know she was going to be a hipster. Maybe she changed her name to Betty. I don't know. Who fucking knows? But they were very nice. And so thank you all for coming out to the show last week. Eric and I went and hung out. And it was funny. This man, Eric, nice guy, wrote me an email when he came to the show. And then afterwards, we hung out and talked. And it was great, meeting Eric and hanging out and talk with him. And then he split. But then afterwards, I just thought how weird it must be for Eric as well as for me to just have this forced conversation where it was I'm not saying it was me, it wasn't anything that was bad. It was great. It was nice to meet Eric, and I learned all about where he's from and what he does, and but it was like a talk show segment. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it was like he saw me do comedy and he was upstairs with me, and then afterwards it was like, hey, let's go sit down and learn a little about one another. So where are you from? What do you do? That's fantastic. And how long have you lived here? Okay, great. And I was even framing the questions it sounded like we were doing panel. I mean, it sounded like I was Carson Daly. I was much better than that. Hold on a second. I was not Carson Daly. I was Conan O'Brien, who's a wonderful interviewer. Whatever. But I was interviewing Eric. It wasn't even like we were having a conversation. I was sitting with him interviewing him. And what did you do today? Fantastic. Oh, you drove that? Oh, you were in a parade. That's great news. And it was great. He even had stories that were like he was on a talk show, like that he brought. Like that day he had to drive a convertible in a parade. So it was like, wow, this is, it made everything much more interesting, and everything flew by. And we were sitting outside of a Quiznos enjoying each other's company. So that was fine. So Eric, thank you for coming to the show last week. And Jason and Betty. All right. And then I came back to town, and last night went and emceed young Lili von Stup's burlesque show. The Monday Night Tease show. I was there last night with hot girls like Vixen Violette and Dizzy Von Dam and Red Snapper. And I have to say their name in those dulcet tones. I have to say them quiet. And it was funny. Red Snapper did her, she does a, whatever. The burlesque is, burlesque is people taking off their clothes, and then stuffed animals are involved somehow. There's like an avalanche of stuffed animals. There's, people helping. There's a guy with, there's always some guy to the side that I bump into who's got sideburns down to his chin, and I'm in his way. I mean, there's always some guy with a pompadour who has to hand somebody a net. And I wind up somehow I stumble off stage, and I'm in the line of fire. And I'm a clod, folks. I'm just a clod at these shows. So last night, Red Snapper she did a thing where she wound up. Last night's show was Heroes and Villains, burlesque. Like it was because our friend Lili used to produce a radio show for a friend of mine named David Lawrence, and that's how we wound up being mutual friends. Blah blah blah. So David Lawrence is on Heroes. He's playing a character named Eric Doyle, and so they worked it out where they had a screening of the show, and then afterwards there was a burlesque show, and it all had to do with David. That's what it was about. The entire show, it was like everyone stripped, dressed as David. They had David masks on. It was an unbelievable tribute to my friend David Lawrence, and he deserved it. Why not? No, it was heroes and villains. So because heroes were on beforehand, afterwards everybody did villains. So all the burlesque people came out and did their villain type numbers. And a lot of them did very Disney-esque based numbers, which I think Disney's very thrilled about. Disney is very happy that a lot of burlesque dancers are like, hey, I'm going to dress up like Goofy and take off my clothes. That's fantastic. And please don't get that mixed up. It wasn't I'm going to dress up Goofy and take up my clothes. Because it was I'm going to dress up like Goofy. Because a lot of people dress up Goofy and take off their clothes. Christ, any homeless person could do that. But it takes a true professional to dress up like Goofy and then take their clothes off. So this person last night, Red Snapper, did a 101 Dalmatians strip. And she, and Red Snapper is her body is just ludicrous. And so she's getting undressed and she's wearing like a little thong, but I don't even know the name of, because there's boy shorts, but then there's a thong, but then the thong will have a like a thing over it. I can't even explain it. Like if you saw it, you'd know what I was talking about, but it doesn't matter. You can see her ass. So, and she did this 101 Dalmatians thing, and she climbs into a thing, and then they poured a bunch of stuffed animals on her, and she's rolling around, and then she's really rolling around, like turning around and bending over and doing all these stuff. So intermission comes, and my wife Karen had come to the show with me, and she walks up. And I go, she's like, show's pretty good. I go, yeah. I go, Red Snapper was really good. She goes, I saw you looking for the Gumper shot. And I go, Gupper. It's Gupper, not Gumper. Because that's a phrase that my friend Jeff coined. It was, a vagina was Gupper. It was just something we used to call it. So he was just like, dude, what's up? You get any Gupper this weekend? It was like that kind of thing when we were kids. So now I'm 41, and of course that's still in my lexicon. And because I've said it in front of Karen, I'd be like, oh man, look at the Gupper shot. So we'll say, that. So then she comes up to me, but my Karen wife, she can't get it right, so she always says Gumper. So as if Forrest Gump was going to stick his head out of her G-string at some point and talk about shrimp. But I just love the fact that my wife like busts me, like she knows what I'm doing, like she knows what I like and what I'm looking at or looking for. I saw you looking for the Gumper shot. Just my wife talks like she's in the Little Rascals, just constantly getting words wrong, putting letters they don't belong. But it was a good time last night at Crazy Burlesque Extravaganza. That was a lot of fun. It was different because in Vegas. There's no burlesque in Vegas. They might claim that there is, but it's all just strippers. There's just, I didn't go. You know what? Again, this trip, I literally went from my room to the show, to my room to the show, to my room to the show, to my room to the show. Was that 7? That was 7. So that was all 7 days. I covered it. Yeah. I mean, I didn't, I had nothing to do. And plus I'm going back in November. Lili and I and my wife and Lily's husband are going in November for Thanksgiving. So, there was no reason to go and blow my fun wad by myself. I want to have people there to blow my fun wad with. What? You're not excited to see me blow my fun wad? That's going to be great. I can't wait until Thanksgiving. Blow my fun wad all over the place. So, but in the old days, man, when I would go to Vegas, it was just you'd wind up in a strip club at 4 a.m, just contemplating where you could put your finger. You know what I mean? Like that kind of horrible night. I did it as recently as I went, much of my friends had like their 40th birthdays, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So we all went together and, literally once we all splintered off, because my friends want to gamble. Like, and that's not me. Like I said, my gambling is determining whether or not I'm going to get chlamydia of the hand at some point at some strip club. That's my gamble. By tucking $1 into the wrong G-string, is my thumb going to fall off in a week? That's my gambling when I go to Vegas. Not anymore, but I mean, like I said, as recently as 2 years ago, I wound up, it was 5 a.m, and you're just sitting there trying to look through the smoke and just seeing those 12-inch lucite see-through heels in your face, and you're just sitting there looking for the Gumper shot. That's what you're doing. 5 a.m. Me and I think Mex went with me. He and I are just sitting there just going, oh, what's going to happen? Is someone going to come in and make it rain? Are we going to get shot? Who knows? Because at 5 a.m, that really asking for it. At strip clubs in Vegas, you can go at 2 in the morning, even then, and you're kind of pushing it. But at 5 in the morning, that's the dregs. I mean, that's the hardcore guys. That's people who don't like cards. That's who's at the strip club at 5 o'clock in the morning, man. And I'm that guy. I've been that guy, many times on the road and just doing awful, terrible things. Like you go to Vegas and you just do these weird. I went. All right, I'm going to tell you these two stories, and I don't know why. Because I'm a sleaze guy. I mean, I enjoy sleaze, or I did at the time. I don't anymore, of course. Although, let's put it this way, I do now, but now it's on the internet, so it's like accessible. So that's great. Because then I don't see myself as being a guy who is a sleaze merchant. Now I'm a guy. They bring, you know what? They pass the savings on to me through the internet. I don't have to go in search of these things anymore. They're just right there for you. It's like all of a sudden, like 3 keystrokes, and you're like, wow, there's a woman, and wow, that's a Nerf football coming out of there. How did that happen? You don't have to go digging or spelunking or, going around a dark corner or waiting to find it. It finds you, man. You end up at XTube, and all of a sudden, like I said, 6 clicks later. And also, the sheer volume of porn. Has this ever happened to you? I'm sure. I was watching one time just the same thing, clicking through. I saw somebody I knew in a porno clip. That is the weirdest fucking thing in the world. This woman named Jessica, who was a waitress in Tahoe when I worked in Tahoe, all of a sudden I'm flipping, through porn, and there she is, just getting worked by 2 dudes. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I knew waitressing wasn't paying the bills like it should have. And a lot... Also, these scenes, on the internet, a lot of this, there's scenes that are now, but also because porn is dead. Porn has had a stake driven through its heart by the internet, at least as a money-making entity. Unless you're doing big-time movies like the guys who made the Pirates movies and stuff, any DVD's in trouble because immediately XTube and RedTube and, FuckTube, I don't know what else they got, they just cannibalize all of these scenes and put them on there for free. I read an article, a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. The guy who runs XTube went to the porn people and said, "I will sell you half of my enterprise." And I think he wanted like $40 million or something. And they laughed at him. They laughed him out of the office. And he's like, "Okay." And now he's destroying them. I mean, he has absolutely put a foot in porn's ass, which is a clip on XTube. I don't know if you've seen it. You can actually pull it up. That fucking made me laugh. All right. God damn, I'm great. Seriously, folks, this is free for you, and I just got to tell you that was fucking awesome. Oh, man, that made me laugh. I am so good at this. I just sit here and talk in circles, and look what happens. One funny thing comes out in 15 minutes. All right, so... So that's, so porn now, I can find it. Like, I don't know. And that was the thing, is also in my room I had internet access. I paid the $40 for the week, and I was able to just, I got my MacBook, and I'm like, all right, good. I can surf the net, read about the Phillies. By the way, have I mentioned the Phillies yet, folks? You're goddamn right. You know what the Phillies are going to do this week? Look for a gumper shot from the Rays and stick it right in. You're dead. I had some Tampa Bay fans write me. And you know what's funny? They wrote me when they were up 3-1 against Boston. And they were very nice, and they're very cool people, but I didn't write them back. Who am I kidding? I haven't written anybody back in months, but I will. I'm just because it becomes this, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, good Lord, look, I have 15,000 emails to answer. That seems high, but still, it's a lot. And I will get to them, I swear. All right, so. But Tampa Bay fans wrote me when they were up 3-1, and I didn't write them. Because I was going to engage them in a little back and forth, just fun, like good luck. Because again, I told you I hate trash talking. I think it's stupid. But then, seriously, in sports, can't stand it. So, what's that? Is that something I did? I don't remember. What the?
When you single-handedly tanked your team.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
When you were picking on the guy on.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Is it a story I've told on here? All right, folks, then you know that something happened. Oh,
when you went to see Mike Schmidt.
Oh, that trash talk. Well, that doesn't count. Okay, when I was 16, it was different. I mean, it was like then, that's why now, as an old man, I don't think it makes any sense. Because there's no point in talking shit because, inevitably you're going to lose. Only one team wins. There's no point to be, a jackass about it. So, but when Tampa Bay fans were up 3-1 and they wrote me and they were nice about it, some of them, some were like, haha, I can't wait to play the Phillies. And then they lost the next two games. I can't even imagine the feeling those people had. They were just like, oh no, I wrote an email up 3-1. Because then you think you jinxed your team. You're just like, I can't believe I jinxed everything. This is horrible. Because even when the Phillies were up 3-1, people were saying to me, oh, this is going to be great. And I'm just like, you know what? I have one more game. I don't even want to think about it because, if you start talking yang when you're 3-1 and all of a sudden your team loses, it's like, you're like, that was my fault. Seriously, that was my fault. I can't believe I did that. I am a dick. But big World Series this week and we're all excited and let's all again karmically unite behind the Philadelphia Phillies. Tampa Bay's a great story. Big wins, a lot of young draft picks. But they've got a lot of future ahead of them. The Phillies, I don't know if you're aware of this, everybody in the team has cancer. So this is their final hurrah. This is their big, the big, final. This is the autumn of their life. Let's all root for the Phillies to win so they all have a story to tell on their deathbeds in a year. So that's what I'm doing. I'm cheering for them. That sounds like a weird campaign. I'm cheering for them, the Phillies. But yeah, in Vegas, so I paid for the internet, and I can watch porn in my room if I want, or do whatever I want to do because I don't have to go find porn because Vegas again, you're gonna find trouble if you want, and I have in the past. I told you I went there and we almost got kicked out for laughing at a stripper as she lit her nipples on fire and did a Valkyrie number. That was fun. I used to be my buddy's wingman, and I was my buddy Sam, and I would Sam was like, my buddy used to call him Johnny Jaw because Sam was like really good looking. Sam looked like Freddie Mercury, but like buff. And he was just a good looking guy. And he was real soft spoken, but he was really good looking. So then I would be, of course, the mouthpiece. We'd go to some strip club and I would be talking to every stripper in the joint. And I would wind up talking to them and they would hang out with us. They would think we were all cool. And then literally Sam would bat his eyes and he would fuck 9 of them. You know what I mean? And I'd be sitting there going, hey, anybody want to dance for me? No? All right, good. I'm going to go jerk off in the parking lot. So, not that I haven't, well, it's funny. The one time I did, Sam came out to, he was in South Dakota. We were working in South Dakota. And, all right. So I always have to stop because I don't know if I've shared any of these stories with my wife or anybody. And I'm like, but then it's like, you know what? She doesn't listen to this fucking show anyway. Who cares? Do you care? I don't care, folks. Write me a note if you care. And then I'll answer your email in 4 months. So I was in South Dakota working, doing stand-up. And this was at a time when things hit the skids for me, man. I mean, it was like so bad. I moved back. I was living in L.A. and then the person I was living with went bananas on me because I'm not going to bore you with it. So anyway, I had to move back to Chicago. So then I made my way back to South Dakota and I was working the road. I was doing stand-up. I was in South Dakota and my car died in South Dakota. So I wound up having to live in South Dakota for a while in the hotel. The guy who booked the shows was a guy named Jeff Connor. Jeff Connor he booked the Rushmore Comedy Tour, and he was a guy who he was a notoriously filthy guy. Like he when you first meet him, he was great. Like he would buy you Chinese food and he wanted to hang out with you and stuff. But then he became just unscrupulous. I mean, he lived in this hotel in South Dakota. It was Sioux Falls. He lived in the Airport Holiday Inn. He lived there. Literally had a room that he lived in. You would walk in. He had filing cabinets, and that was his home base. And he ran the Rushmore Comedy Tour out of there. And Jeff Connor, he was an evil guy. Like he would kind of screw you on money, and it just, again, he could be really cool, and I really liked him sometimes. But then he basically gave me the "I own you" speech one time, and he did because my car had broken down, and I was also living at the Airport Holiday Inn in South Dakota, and he was sending me to gigs. Like I was like this indentured servant. Like he would go, "Hey, you know what? The other comic's going to pick you up and take you to Bemidji, and you got to work up there this weekend for me." Like I was working off my room but still making money, like pocket money. It was fucking bizarre. I mean, it was just a weird arrangement. So, and by the way, Jeff Connor, so then he disappeared. He was one of those guys, he was a grifter type who did, and again, there were a bunch of guys have notorious stories about how he stiffed them on money. Like I said, initially he was great. He'd bring you out for Chinese food and everything was cool, and then the horns would come out and he'd turn into a jagoff. So he disappears one day. Like he just, up and leaves the hotel. Like, he's gone. He leaves the room the way it is, but he takes all of his records and everything, and he stiffs the tour. He stiffs all these people. He's gone. And I'm like, well, I wonder whatever happened to that guy, that kind of thing. A year and a half ago, I'm flipping channels, and the show The Contender is on. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a show. It's like a reality show where they have boxers to determine who's going to be the contender and he's going to win. Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard put it on. Whatever. Bottom line is, I watched one episode. Jeff Connor is the ring announcer on The Contender, and I'm just like, what the hell? I can't like. And he's going by the name Jeffrey Connor, and I'm like, I can't believe A, he's still alive, B, he's still using his real name. Because I got to figure there's some feature act out of Washington State that wants to murder this guy because he stiffed him for $95 back in 1991. I mean, it's that kind of weird level of hatred and weirdness. But anyway, so I'm living at the Airport Holiday Inn in South Dakota, and I meet a girl. One night we meet the stripper. We find out, and it's me and my buddy Sam and my brother Lenny. Lenny and Sam have come to town together to do comedy, and I'm there doing comedy because I live there now. Because the car I bought for $800 to leave Chicago made it as far as goddamn South Dakota before blue smoke started coming out of it. And actually, my car was so fucked, like it actually spoke, like it had a voice. It was just like, dude, nope, and then it stopped. Like, that was its dying thing, is it had the ghost of an old man fly into it and say, dude, nope, and just quit right there in the parking lot. So Lenny and Sam are there, and we're there, and there's a stripper, and we went up, there's two girls, and the three of us are kind of working the two girls, and I'm used to this already. I know Sam's going to get nailed. I mean, Sam's going to work one of these chicks. So the other one is essentially just a pork chop on a hook for my brother and I to fucking battle over. And, but I'm playing the role, like I'm being really cool about it because I that was I wasn't trying, and I think that helped. So it turns out one of the chicks just splits, like she's gone. So now it's 3-for-1. We're all going at it, and I'm like, oh, this is whatever's going to happen happens. But it's pretty obvious that this chick who is a stripper, who goes by the name of Rocky Mountains, because why not? She's in the Dakotas. I think it was a nice move. I think her real name was Carol. Was it Carol? Again, what's with all these names from the 70s? But her name was Carol. So she's vibing me. I mean, it's fairly obvious. Like, she's laughing at everything I say. She's into me, and I can't believe it because Sam is there. I almost want to just go, no, you're laughing at the wrong guy. I'm seriously, Sam there is the good-looking guy with the big hose that you want to take out of here. And then my brother and I will commiserate about how miserable we are together, right? Isn't that what's going to happen? But no, man, she's into me. So I'm like, all right, well, this looks like it's going to work. And Sam, to his credit, Sam just kind of, goes down in a first. I mean, he realizes, and he's never trying either. Again, like I said, Sam is just sitting there batting his eyelashes and having his olive skin shine in the nightclub light and waiting for a girl to just blow him. I mean, he's like that guy. Literally, Sam and I would go anywhere, and he was just a guy who was going to get laid. Sam, you know what? Sam banged Kitten Natividad. Do you know who that is?
Oh.
When Sam was 18 years old, he was out and he met Kitten Natividad in Vegas, and he wound up fucking her. Like, she came to him and's like, I have to have you. Like, that's Sam. Okay, that's who he is. And great guy, like a true Renaissance guy in that he was a guy who wanted to try things. Like, he wrote a book. And he's a silversmith, and he's a painter, and he did stand-up. Just one of those guys who's incredibly, immensely talented, and makes me look like an idiot. Like, I talk. This guy does a million things well, including banging everything that moved, when it was necessary. So when it was necessary, it's always necessary to bang everything that moves. That's so stupid. So Sam is being Sam, and Sam's like, just kind of bemused, whatever. He's hanging out. He's never tried. He was just there. My brother, however, will not stop. My brother is he's doing every fast dance that he can to try to get this chick's attention and to get her to And I even look at Sam like, is this happening, honestly? Is my brother trying that furiously to cock block me here in this instance? But it seems like no matter what he does, she's just gravitating closer to me. So we wind up going back to her place, the three of us, with her. and she said her friend is there because that's her friend had left earlier. So when we get there, her friend is not there. It's just the three of us and her. And she puts on a little music, and we start drinking. And I'm not drinking, but they're drinking, and we're just hanging out. And the lights are low, and then your head starts to go, all right, this chick's a stripper. She's got three dudes here. Is this going to be a weird train? I mean, are we going to have to pull a train on this chick? And is she driving that train? Like, is she into it? And do I really want to fuck abroad with my brother in the room? I don't think I want to do that, do I? That just sounds awful. I got no interest in unsheathing cock with my brother sitting a foot away. That's going to make no sense. Because seriously, she's going to be blowing me, and then I'm going to look over and just think of, he and I playing baseball when we were kids. It's going to be terrible, which will, hold off the inevitable orgasm, I would assume, because you're supposed to think about baseball. I just don't think you're supposed to think about baseball with your brother. So I'm like, I don't know if I can work a chick with my brother here. So, but it's not going that way. I mean, it's just that thought enters your brain because that thought enters my brain anytime I'm in a room with two guys and a girl. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I could be on the bus and it's me, the driver, and a chick, and I'm like, is he going to pull this bus over and we're going to work this chick? Is that going to happen? Because I am pathetic and weird. Like, I told you, I'm the guy who plays Who Am I Going to Fuck in the Bank. I walk in the bank, I walk into a store, and I have playoffs. I have a NCAA like chart of 64, like that. I have a bracket style system where all of the women in the bank will go in, and I play them off against one another to find out who's at the end and who gets nailed. That's their prize, by the way. I'm sure they're very happy about it. They're like, oh, we get to fuck the fat guy who's depositing his unemployment check. Fantastic. That's exactly what I want to do. Let's take that guy out. I can't wait for that guy to punch Kitty with me all night long. Jesus Christ. Can't wait to grab that guy's hair and ride into town. So, Lenny's there and Sam, and we're all there. And it's getting late now. Now it's around 3 in the morning. And Sam's just kind of like, oh, let's get out of here. And my brother's like, hey, you got Twister? I mean, he's like, he won't go. It's like, dude, you've lost. Seriously, you've been defeated. Because this chick now is like, I think she's in my lap. She might actually be sitting on my head like a turban. I mean, it's like that. It's that evident that this chick is interested in me. So finally, I think Sam and I just may have drugged Lenny and hog-tied him and then taken him out. But finally, he had to surrender. Like, and it was literally like we're pulling him out, and his fingernails are in the rug, and then he's holding out at the door jamb. I mean, it's that bad. So he and Sam get a cab, and they split. So it's me and this chick, Rocky Mountains, and it's so funny. I'm married, and I love my wife and all that. But if you're married and you love your wife, and even if you're single, there are times when you sit and you just go, remember when it was just like me fucking strange people? Wasn't that great? Wasn't that awesome? In the bathed in the glow of the stereo, and you get their shirt off for the first time, and you're like, oh, this is so great. And so I wind up going at it with Rocky Mountains, and it's that come on, you've done this when you meet that person for the first time and you go at it, and you're like, hey, you know what? You're going to unveil your moves, and you're like, hey, I'm good at this, and they're enjoying this, and I'm actually, oh my God, this is actually clicking. And then you finish round one, and then you're just laying there, and then like maybe 15 minutes later, you're like, hey, you know what? Let's do this again, and you do it again, and it's just, I can't even explain that weird feeling of seeing a girl's shirt come off for the first time. So, unless you've been there. And you have. Everybody has. We've all been that person. You wind up in that first. Come on, the first time you walk into a strange girl's bedroom or kitchen or bathroom at a nightclub, and you're like, "This is great, man! Is it great?" But I tell you, it is nothing like being married. So, Rocky and I go at it, and we go at it, and we go at it, and she and I, and then, we've been talking all night, but I don't really know anything about her except her real name and her stripper name. So that's fine. So I go to use the restroom after like round 3, and I open the medicine cabinet because that's what you do when you're in somebody's house. And this is 1990. Yeah, 1990, I think. Might have been 91. And in the medicine cabinet, I see lithium and Prozac and diazepam. I don't know, and Thorazine, and I'm just like, okay, because even then, like I don't even know what Prozac is, but I know it's got a Z in it, and that can't be good. But I know what lithium and Thorazine are, and I'm like, okay, well, I hope these are her roommates. And then I remember, oh yeah, she doesn't have a roommate. Her friend was just coming over here. All right, well, this is fine. I'm sure this is fine. This isn't going to be a problem. So I go out, and she and I are laying there, and all of a sudden I notice, and I didn't notice this before, as we're laying there, we're talking, and you're just someone's laying in your lap, and you're just kind of rubbing their head or you're rubbing their arm, and I look down at her arms, and she has scars all the way up her arms from her wrist almost up to her elbow, like when someone tries to kill themselves, there's some people want attention and some people want to die, and she went straight up. She was looking to check out. So I'm laying there with her, and she's talking, and I see these scars on her arm, and I the medicine, and then she's telling me the story that she has dreams, and the dreams are that she's obsessed with Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and in the dreams he's like on a dragon, and he comes to her, and she gives the world cholera, and she's telling me, all of a sudden it's dawning on me. This chick is fucking bananas. And none of this came out before, but because I guess now, because we've shared seed and, we are, we've each had our faces buried in each other for, Christ, 2 hours. Now, like I said, it's that weird, it's like the end of The Usual Suspects. That's what it was. When all of a sudden he pieces together, Agent Coulion pieces together oh my God, he sees the piece on the bulletin board, and then he looks at the bottom of the coffee mug, and he starts flashing and going, oh my God, this whole story was made up. He was Kaiser Soze. I fucked Kaiser Soze, folks. I'm like, I can't believe I fucked Kaiser Soze. Because all of a sudden I'm like, all right, lithium and Prozac, and wait a minute, a stripper, and gave the world cholera, and Dave Mustaine, and 4 scars on each arm up to her elbow. I got to get the fuck out of here. But you're trying to be nice about it. You're just like, well, I'm going to take off. She's like, well, no, you can stay. And I'm like, no, it's all right. I got to get back. And I'd love to. She's like, well, I can make you breakfast. And I'm like, no, thanks. I don't need a lithium omelet. But I appreciate it. But you don't say that, of course, because, if she's cutting herself up like that, God knows they're going to find my head in a bag somewhere. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just getting dressed. And it's funny. It's weird how quickly that exciting feeling of seeing a strange woman's bedroom gets when all of a sudden you see that strange woman's medicine cabinet and you go, oh no, that's fucking horrible. So I got to get out of there, right? So I'm like, all right, well, and finally I kind of beg off and I call a cab and I just get out. So the next day I see Lenny and Sam at breakfast and they're like, hey, haha. And I'm like, oh, dude. So I tell them the story and I'm like, because it was awesome for a while. Until all of a sudden you're like, oh, and so then I'm explaining it and they're just like, and then Lenny like gets this weird like, haha attitude, like, haha, you fucked her and she's weird. And I'm like, well, granted, but half of that still makes me a winner, I think, quite frankly. I think I still come out on top in this story, literally and figuratively. But unfortunately, they get to leave. Like Lenny and Sam get to split. I live in that hotel. So now Rocky is my girlfriend. She comes to the show that night, and I'm like, hi. And she's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm going to let you in a little secret about men, folks. As crazy as Rocky was, we still wound up in bed again that night because guys are like, you know what, you rationalize it. Like, it's not as scary anymore because I'm not in her house with the skull candle and the Thorazine and everything. Now she's on my turf. Now she's in my hotel, and I'm like, oh, well, now she's just like, look how she's normal again. It's Carol. And we wind up going up to my hotel room, and which is a mistake because we go to my hotel room and we, hang out all night and go bananas and stuff. And then she splits, and I'm like, all right, well, nice to see you. Take. Next morning, 9 a.m., knocking on my hotel room door. And I'm like, is that fucking housekeeping? Like, who's coming over? I open the door. It's Rocky, 9 a.m. Hey, you want to have breakfast? No. No, I don't. I'm sleeping. And, oh, come on, let's go. It'll be great. Oh, you sure? Okay. So I let her in and I get dressed. And, I should say I try to get dressed. Rocky has other things in mind first, which again makes me go, well, maybe breakfast wouldn't be so bad with Rock. And we go at it, and then I get dressed, and we go to breakfast, and she starts telling me that she wants to drive out, and she wants me to go with her to the woods. There's this forest preserve, and she wants to go for. She likes to do she wants to go on a nature hike, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't think I can. I have some work that I have to do today. She's like, come on, what do you got to do? You got a show tonight. That's you always joke around that's that's all you do. Come on, go on the nature hike with me. And I am not going on a nature hike because all I can think is that she left me last night, went to the fucking woods, dug a hole, set up the skull candle, and is trying to get me out there. And all of a sudden I'm gonna walk, and all of a sudden there's like the head of Dave Mustaine on a spike, and she throws a jar of cholera on me and pushes me into the hole and buries me. So I go to Jeff Connor and I beg him. I go, dude, you got to send me anywhere to do stand-up. Like, get me out right now. And he's like, well, all right. I mean, I could send you down to Mission, and I don't want to go to Mission. Mission, South Dakota, I had done a show there before, and a guy brought a gun into the club, a shotgun. And I've told this story before. I think I even told it on here. I know I told it on Never Not Funny. I don't know if I told it on this one or not. But basically, I did a show in Mission, South Dakota on an Indian reservation, and there was a white guy in the audience. He was the crazy white guy in town, and he had a teardrop tattooed on his face, and he's like, basically, he's heckling me, but not like, you're not funny. It was heckling me like, I'm going to rape you, like those kind of heckles. And finally, I buried this guy. Like, I was obliterating him. And these people are laughing, and there's only like 12 people in the audience, but I'm killing because all I'm doing is making fun of this idiot the whole time. And he goes, oh yeah, you think you're fucking funny? He goes, I'll fucking get a gun and shoot your ass. And I go, you know what? That would bother me if I didn't think you were too stupid to know how to use a gun. So he gets up and leaves. And I'm like, I win, folks, I win. And I'm like really happy. And all of a sudden, after like 5 minutes, I just see him turn the corner with a shotgun. And the proprietor of the bar stops him, and literally, this is all I hear. Now, Earl, calm down. That's all I hear. Now, Earl. Like, they're going to calm him down as he's got like, this happens all the fucking time. Like, I picture him doing it down at the Baskin Robbins or down at the gas station. You know, someone's like, hey, you know what? You guys got any ho-hos? We're out of ho-hos. Now, Earl. He's got a fucking shotgun. So Jeff wants to send me back to Mission. I go, dude, I'm never reading the name Mission again. I'm not even Mission. I won't eat Mission tortilla chips ever again because of that goddamn show. I won't watch Mission Impossible. I want nothing to do with the word. He's trying to figure out where to send me, and finally he decides, you know what, go to Aberdeen. And Aberdeen was a good gig. It was another Holiday Inn, and I don't care. I didn't care at that point. He could have sent me to play on a fucking helicopter. I wouldn't have cared. Just get me away from Rocky. So I go to Aberdeen, and I do my time, and I'm gone for like 2 days. And when I come back, I go to the room. I open the door to my room, and there's like 12 cards slid under my door, like greeting cards, like with like hearts and stuff drawn all over them from Rocky. And I'm opening them, and like I wish I could have opened them in the order of when they came, like they were dated, because then you could just see like the crazy amping up. But like one of them, she actually drew my face, like, and she's just like, oh, I drew you from memory because you've been going. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. And I just left town. I wound up getting my car was fixed, and just fixed enough to get me back to Chicago. And I said, Jeff, I'm leaving, and he's like, that's fine, go. And so I split. And I kept the cards. It's so funny. Like, I kept the cards, and I would look at them. Like, because here's the thing about guys, and guys will back me up on this, although they probably won't if you're married to them. When you're in that situation, okay, and you get the cards and you're reading them, and you're in a crazy situation with some chick, you're just like, I got to get out of this. This is fucking insane. I have to get as far away from this as I possibly can. And then as you put time and miles between you and that situation, all you can think about is, man, it was great fucking that chick. Like, literally, you don't remember any of the crazy. You don't remember any of the bad stuff. Whenever you have a breakup, all you think about is, oh, man, remember when I used to get laid all the time with that person and it was great? That's all you can think of. And it's like, I didn't even break up with this chick. This was literally like just a 3-week fascination. But luckily, part of her fascination was in, getting worked, which was fine with me. But unfortunately, it came with a cape and a hood. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh Christ, I can't get involved in this. So, oh, sorry, Lily just held up a sign to tell me what time we're at. And I have to. The show has to be hurried today because Lily has to go do things. She has very important things to do. It's a Tuesday record, I'll tell you that. We did the burlesque thing last night, and now we're doing the show today. Yeah, that's it's so funny. Like it's so how a crazy chick can become rational in your head the further away when you're not getting laid. Like if you go a couple months, you're just like, oh man, she wasn't so bad. I mean, sure, she killed that cat, but I mean, so what? That was fine. I could deal with that. I met a girl one time. I was in Minot, North Dakota, again on the Rushmore Comedy Tour. Folks, I did very well on the Rushmore Comedy Tour. I pulled a lot of tail on the Rushmore Comedy Tour. People in Middle America love Mike Schmidt. So again, I'm on the road with Lenny, and we're in Minot, and I do my show, and it's like near an Air Force base, and I wind up at the bar, and I'm talking to some girl, and it winds up, you can see it working again. It's like I imagine it's like cracking a safe when you're just like twisting the thing, and you just start to hear the tumblers click into place. That's what it's like when you know you're clicking with some girl. So I'm clicking with this girl at the bar, and she's really cute. I mean, she was, I'm going to say hot, especially for North Dakota. She was like 5'11", you know what I mean? Like 135, 140. So she was kind of a linebacker chick, but I didn't care. I was into it. So so we went up, at the bar. Everything's great. And then it's closing time. The lights come on. And she's like, well, let's go back to my room. And I'm like, hello, let's go. So Lenny gives me another, look. Like, because Lenny had been working one girl all night. And then wound up getting shot down by her, like with 10 minutes left in the night. And you're done. Because you can't spend that last 10 minutes frantically trying to find another girl because she's seen you trying to close the deal with the other chick all night, and she wants nothing to do with it. The stink of death is all over you. So, enjoy your jerk-off session. So I went up with this chick. We go back to her room, and she's crazy hot, and I'm completely dressed. And let me set the picture for you folks. I've got a mullet that is crazy. This is a Mike Schmidt long, I'm talking past my shoulders mullet. I mean, and I'm wearing Hammer pants, like MC Hammer. Again, we're back in the early '90s, folks. So they're complete. Luckily, they're not crazy colored. They're just blue, but they're those baggy pants that don't have a belt, or they're not jeans or slacks. They're just or sweats. They were Hammer pants. There's nothing else to call them. So I'm wearing blue Hammer pants and my Run DMC sweatshirt, my Adidas Run DMC shirt with my crazy mullet. And she and I wind up back in her room. And one thing leads to another, and she's naked, which is great. I'm completely dressed. We're going at it. We're on the bed, and I take a trip downtown. I'll share that with you folks. And spend about a half hour downtown, just going, back and forth, up and down, da-da-da. I'm still completely dressed, mind you. But, I go down on this chick, and hips bucking, ankles, wrapped around my head. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. She, loud, gets off, perfect. And she's like sitting there, like, holding me and kind of shaking and breathing heavy. And then she goes, whew, and she turns over and rolls over. And I'm sitting there, and I'm wearing Hammer pants. So it's pretty evident that I'm ready for action, if you know what I mean. It's like my Hammer pants have a kickstand now. I mean, it's like crazy. Like, I've got a tent working, and it's like, all right, well, my turn. Let's go. And she turns her back to me in the bed, and I start kissing her on the shoulders, and kind of sidle up and spoon her, and spoon her with a fork prong, if you know what I'm talking about. And she's like, oh, I'm tired. And I go, yeah, it's late. She goes, yeah. Could you turn the lights off when you leave? And I go, what? And she's like, yeah, I should tell you, I'll tell you this too. She was Miss America's Dairyland. So she was in town because she was also a spokesperson for Caterpillar and also like GM. So she was there for some trade show. She was a spokesmodel at a trade show. And so she was hot. And now she's just naked and happy, and rolls over and says, yeah, could you turn the lights off when you split? And so now you don't know what to do. And so I just kind of like, really? And I scooch up and, I use my cock like a door knocker and, poke her in the back a couple times. Like, hey, how about a little something for the effort? And she's like, yeah, I really got to get up early. And I stand up. And this is around the time Mike Tyson had gotten arrested. And it was so funny. That was literally the first thing that came into my head. Like, in my head, I thought of Mike Tyson immediately. Because his story was that he had brought the girl to his hotel room and that she wanted to do stuff. And then all of a sudden she just said no. And his thing was, well, I mean, I wasn't going to stop because obviously she wanted to because we had done other things. And so I'm standing there. And imagine how ludicrous I look in my, with my mullet and, just this hard-on straining to get through my hammer pants. And I'm standing her and she's almost asleep now. She's just nodding off. And I just went, all right. And I turned around and left. I turned the lights off and split. And I'm walking down the hallway, with raging hard on, in hammer pants, literally crouching down, trying to make sure, because if anybody walks out of the room, I look like a nut. Like, who's this idiot walking around with a hard on in the middle of the night? But it was like, I got chicked. That's what the next morning, Lenny's like, how'd that go? And I go, I got chicked. Because now I know what it means when a chick would get, the guy would get laid and then just roll over and go to sleep. I got chicked. I went down on this chick and everything was great and I had a great time, and then all of a sudden it was my turn. It was like, hey, see you later. Really? Miss America's Dairyland? Terrible. So I guess I had luck technically on the Rushmore Commodore tour, but not really luck, I suppose. I guess. Well, let's put it that way. Why did I even start talking about this? How did I? Because I was in Vegas. I was talking about the horrible things in Vegas. I did, you know what? Well, because in Vegas, it used to be like you would just wander out, because if you want to get in trouble, Vegas is a good place to get in trouble. Before Craigslist, Vegas might have just been called Craigslist, Nevada. I mean, it was like you could meet anybody and do anything in that goddamn town. I wound up, all right, I was in an adult bookstore once in Vegas, and it was just a hellhole one. I mean, it was just really bad. And but it was like, you know what? Let's go run off a badge and get the hell out of here. So I wound up in this adult bookstore, and there was a glory hole in the booth I was in. And unfortunately, there was one in every single booth. It's not like I picked the one with the hole. Every single booth had a glory hole. So I had to sit in there, and I'm just like, all right, well, that's fine. I know what that is, but I don't care. So I'm watching a movie, and I'm sitting there, and a guy in the next booth sticks his dick through the glory hole. And it's so weird to be sitting in you're in a dark room and there's porn playing and it's just the flickering light images, and just out of the corner of your eye you're just like, like it's almost like a nature special. Like like, oh, the squirrel rears its head and peeks in to find out if there's anything worth eating in this room. Like that kind of deal. So I'm like, I see it and I just go. And again, I'm familiar with what they are and I know what they're for, but it's like I'm not interested in them, and that's fine. That's the way it goes. So I just continue watching my film because I'm very into this film. I don't want to lose the plot for a second. I don't want to turn my head away and realize that Ginger Lynn somehow met Harry Reams and they got together, and I don't know why they got together. I need to know why they're so attracted to one another. So meanwhile, this guy's still got his dick through the hole in the wall for a couple of minutes. Like, it's just like there. Then finally, he like pulls it out. So I'm like, all right, well, good. I mean, he got the message that nothing's going to happen and nobody's interested, and that's fine. So I turned the channels a couple of times because I figured out why Ginger Lynn met him, and now I have to go see why Amber Lynn is meeting somebody on another channel. And then all of a sudden, he puts his cock through the wall again. It just kind of pokes its head in and it's looking around, and again, it's like like a parrot or something. It's just like, hey, what's going on here, fellas? You know what I mean? Just like cock comes through, checking it out, and it's like a metal detector, but it's looking for mouths. You know what I mean? It's like a mouth detector. Whatever. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, you know what, dude? Did he think that when it came through the first time, I was like, well, I'm not that kind of girl. I'm not going to go for it the very first time. But a second time, forget about it. It's cock buffet. Let's go. I mean, who puts it through a second time? It makes no sense. So I just sit there and it's there, it's lurking, and I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm just like, well, I'm not interested, and I mean, obviously he knows I'm not interested, but I don't know the etiquette. I don't know if there's a secret knock, or if I'm supposed to write a note that's like, no, thank you, or if I'm supposed to, just tap it, with a pen or something, and just go, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. So I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, he pulls it out. So I'm like, okay, good. He understands. And then I'm watching the movie, and like a minute goes by, and then I hear, "Hey," and I'm like, "What?" And now I'm praying it's not the cock, because I'm like, if that cock just said "Hey" to me, we've got a problem. So I look over, because again it's dark and you can't really tell. So I look over, and all I see is an eye looking through the hole. This guy's looking at me now. And I look at him, and then he puts his mouth in the hole, and he goes, "Hey." And I'm like, "Yeah?" And he goes, "This is a glory hole." And he does. He sounds like Oscar the Grouch, by the way. I think, I can't tell. He's talking to me through a hole in a wall. I don't know how, full-throated his voice is. I don't know what's wrong with it. But he's now I'm having a conversation through a hole in a wall. All of a sudden I'm in V for Vendetta, and I'm talking through the wall with the prisoner in the next fucking cell who keeps jamming their cock through. But he just goes, "Hey." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "This is a glory hole." I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Well, you don't go in a booth with a glory hole if you're not going to suck a dick." And I'm just like, okay, I'm just watching a movie. I'm like, I'm not bothering you. And he goes, "Fuck you." And I'm like, what? Why the hostility? What's happening? And again, with the logic, he goes, "You don't go in a booth with a glory hole if you don't want to suck a dick." So now I'm learning the etiquette on the fly from this eye, mouth, and dick in the next booth. So part of me wants to, now it's so funny. I'm indignant. Part of me is like, "Fuck you." But then part of me actually wants to have this argument and go, "You know what, dude? You're in a booth with a glory hole. Why don't you suck my dick?" But I don't say that because part of me knows that he's going to go, "All right." You know what I mean? I don't even want to get into that conversation. I'm going to have logic with the disembodied cock in the next booth. It's not going to happen. So I can't, I'm just stunned that I'm even having this conversation, quite frankly. Because literally he's just a mouth, an eye, and a dick. And that's who I'm arguing with. It's like a science experiment is having this long conversation with me. And I'm like, "Look, dude, I'm trying to watch a movie for a quarter. I don't understand what you're doing." And then he's like, "You don't go in a booth with a glory hole if you're not going to suck a dick." And then part of me, I'm pissed because he's yelling at me. So I'm sitting there and I just go, "All right, put your dick through again." Because I'm going to punch this guy in the dick. I mean fucking hard. I am going to fucking just right hook his cock, and I hope it breaks off. Because I you know what? I have never been yelled at to suck a dick before in my life. And I don't know why he thinks that's effective. But I just sit there and I go, "Okay, put it through." Because I'm not kidding you. I was going to kick it I was going to punch his dick. I was going to punch this guy right in the cock. And right when he's just got his eye poking through, and then someone tries to open the door because he didn't have any money in his booth. So they start dun, 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 and they go, "You got to put money in and you got to leave." And he's looking through at me still, and he just puts his mouth up to it and he goes, "Fuck you." Just Oscar the Grouch, and he leaves, takes off. And I'm just sitting there, and now my movie's run out, and I'm just like, "Well, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't know." But of course, I waited about 5 minutes because the last thing I'm going to do is run into Oscar in the parking lot and get cock stabbed. So it's good that the internet exists and I can get my porn in my room now, and I don't have to venture out in a fucking crazyville. All right, you guys can write me, Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, or you can go to MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy and get me through there. You can also get me via phone, but if you have my phone number. If you don't, then good luck. But if you've got it, you've got it. You know you've got a direct line to me at any time, day or night. But otherwise, myspace.com/Mike Schmidt Comedy, MikeSchmidtComedy.com. That's Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Please go to iTunes and subscribe. Please go to iTunes and leave a review. Please leave a review somewhere else on the web. Maybe go to Technorati. Tell them about my show. I don't know if you would or you wouldn't. Who knows? Who cares? Also go to comedyfilmnerds.com. Go there because I have a couple of pieces that are up now. I'm going to have a Halloween piece up. And I'm also doing a thing. I'll tell you about it more. And it's in November. We're doing a cross-paneling podcasting thing. I don't know, with Comedy Film Nerds and a comics podcast that I will get the name of eventually. And I will promote here. But it's not till like November 19th, so we've got plenty of time to deal with that. So again, like I said, write me and post reviews about me. And also go buy Season 1 of Never Not Funny. They're already on Season 4. So I don't know. Season 1 is long forgotten, but Season 1 is the one that I was involved with. And I get money every time you buy it. Okay? Okay. Buy it. Send me money. Okay. Going to see Saw this weekend. What Saw is it? Are you going with me this weekend? Are you know? Yeah. We're going, right? Are you going?
I'm in.
Saw 5. I've seen the other 4. Hated them all.
Saw 6.
No, Saw 5.
Saw 5.
Hated them all. I not all of them. It was like I've seen them all, and they're all ridiculous, and I laugh at them, and yet I still go and see them. I am the worst for that. I just because I see horror movies like I don't see those ridiculous horror movies like Final Destination where a guy on the highway got killed by a log. I mean I'm not that's not interesting to me. I want to see weird like monsters and gore and I thought when I saw the first coming attraction for the first Saw. I fired off to Pat Francis. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me with this? But it was funny because then they tried too hard even in the coming attraction because it said it actually had the words, it was a Red Band trailer and it said, how fucked up is that? And I was like, dude, you don't have to say that. It's fucked up enough that you got a little doll on a tricycle. That's it. I'm in. You don't need to show me anybody. If you just have that scary Jigsaw voice and you see that doll on the tricycle, I'm in. You don't have to show me anything else. I'm absolutely seeing that movie. We saw a trailer for another movie. It's like a vampire movie from Finland, which sounds like the gayest plot ever. I mean, it just sounds ridiculous, but it looked amazing. Pick the Right One. Is that what it's called? Pick the I don't know. Seriously, go look it up. Vampire movie from Finland. And it looked so good. So I can't wait to see that. And then I saw, why am I doing, all of a sudden it's like the end of the movie. It was all trailers. Folks, listen, this is like the coming attractions, but at the end. I saw coming attractions for a movie called The Soloist. Have you seen that? With Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx. It's like the weirdest, I guess it's a true story, but it looks like it could never be a true story. It's Jamie Foxx is a homeless cellist who's crazy, and Robert Downey Jr. is a reporter from a newspaper who finds him and puts him in a hospital and then gets him a cello and helps him, and then he becomes friends with him, and then they're pals, and then Robert Downey Jr. He cries, and it looked horrible. But it also looked like, literally they should just name that movie, Hey, Give Us Oscars, because he's homeless and he's nuts. Like, he might as well just be, if he was retarded and paralyzed, forget about it. He'd win 5 Oscars they would literally name him Best Actor for the rest of his life, because it's every single trick and tick and acting nonsense thing that you could possibly put into a movie all in one guy. He's a homeless, crazy guy who plays the cello. And again, it's a true story. Nobody dreamed it up. This actually happened. And I want to know how that happened. I've seen the homeless. They don't seem like they could play any classical instruments. I've never seen a homeless guy with a flute. That doesn't make any sense. Seriously, how many times have you been on the road and you've seen a homeless guy with a triangle? That doesn't make any sense at all. None of these homeless are musical. They're trying to find a goddamn house. That's the point. Homeless, no house. Where do you store the instrument? Nowhere. I don't get it. It makes no sense. The closest thing I saw to a crazy homeless person who was musical in Chicago. And I didn't even, my buddy Jeff used to see this person every day on the way to work, and then finally I was down in Chicago and I saw this person with him once. It was a homeless person who would stand in a doorway downtown Chicago and do a shuffle dance and go, have a good day, have a good day. That's the closest I've gotten to a homeless person. dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.